Mitra, it's that time of year. We're going to be seeing family, and invariably, we're going to get triggered by our parents, by our siblings, by other family members. What advice do you have for us?
Hmm. Well, triggered or disappointed or angry or frustrated or furious, they all come only and only when an expectation has not been fulfilled with people that we have history. Okay. So I come to my family gathering and I am hoping, wishing, expecting that they will this year or this time will be a little bit different. They will be considerate. They will be more like the way I would like them to be. And that is the reason for our frustration, or as you called it, being triggered. So it is not our family members, even though we all can prove that it is because of them. It is because my expectation of them wasn't fulfilled. I'm going to stop and see what you feel when I say.
I'm going to play the triggered person, okay? Yeah, but the way that my dad responds to me is unreasonable. He has these unreasonable expectations of me. What reasonable person would say those things
Hmm.
to their
Well,
child? I have a right to get triggered.
absolutely. You also have the capacity to not get triggered. You have the right to do anything. We have a right to screw up our lives, my dear. That's the beauty of free will. I'm so free, I can completely ruin my life. But my question to you is that a surprise to you that your dad or your family member behaves that way?
He's always been that way. In fact, it seems like as I get older, it gets worse.
As he gets older, it gets worse. That is true. Okay. So if you know that as a wise person, as an aware person, a mindful person, wouldn't you? Let's say I'm coming with you. Let's imagine this. This is the best way to do this. Let's imagine this year I'm invited to this family gathering of yours. I know we're just making up the story. By the way, listeners, this is not a real story of Ben. We're just making it real so that we can take a point home. So let's say I'm coming with you, okay? And you want to really protect me. Would it be wise if you told me, Mitra, my blah, 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 my uncle, my father, my sister, whoever, it doesn't matter. They are this way. I want you to not take it personally and be chill with it. And when it happens, I'll just look at you, you look at me, and we say, yeah, my family members are being my family members. Wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't that be wise if you protected me that way as your friend?
Yeah, I would set your expectation that like this is how they are and just be ready for that.
Okay. That be ready for that is exactly what I would like you to do and everybody that is listening to do, that they need to be ready for that. By ready for that, I don't mean ready to attack or defend, ready to receive it with a different capacity. When I know where I'm going, okay, let's say it's a very cold weather I'm going to, first of all, I'll outwardly will make sure that I have enough protection from cold. Secondly, I know that I won't be shocked when I see like minus whatever degree. Because I say, but I live in California, so the weather should be good. It was this time of the year. I need to go ready inwardly and outwardly. So exactly what you would tell me and how you prepare me to attend your family gathering. My suggestion is that you need to, would be wise if you prepared yourself the same way.
Yeah. And so what I hear you saying is it's not about changing them. They are who they are, and there's nothing we can do about that. It's about changing our quote unquote reaction, or as you like to say, response to
Exactly.
them, our inner response to them.
Yes. Yes, because we haven't really accepted them. Let's just be clear about that because people say, yeah, I've accepted them. But that but says that I haven't really, by acceptance, and this is a very charged word I use. Whenever I say acceptance, they say, so is it normal for this? It's like acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance is not health. It's not verification of it's okay for them to be that way. Acceptance means really facing the reality and facts of life. The fact is, my fill in the blank family member is this way. I may think they're judgmental. I may think they drink too much. I may think they are unreasonable, whatever it is that we think. When I accept that, I'm accepting it as a fact that they are that way. It doesn't mean that I'm passive and I'm going to take it and I'm going to be their victim. It just means it's a given. It's just like today is whatever day it is. I wish it was Friday at 6 o'clock so I can relax, right? But I can't live my life like that. I have to attend to my responsibilities. If it is a Wednesday, 12 noon, I need to understand that, accept that, and behave accordingly. I can't just say, but I like Fridays. It's like, great, but it's not a Friday today.
Yeah. So let's give some practical steps, because this is actually, it sounds simple. The way we're talking about it sounds simple, but it's actually, it's not easy. It takes really a commitment, a true desire and commitment to want to take responsibility, right?
Mhm.
To realize, look, this is not about the way my mother, my father, my brother is behaving. This is about how I am responding to them. And I'm going to take responsibility over how I respond going forward. Now, we have had a lifetime of responding to these certain triggers and behaviors from them in a certain way. It's not super easy. It's not the flip of a switch to change the way we respond to those triggers. So let's get practical. Step one, what I hear you saying is really getting into the right mindset. So mindset number one is, okay, I take responsibility for how I respond to them, and that I have the capacity to respond in a new way. So recognizing that, mindset number one. Then, and tell me what you think of this. This is what I've done, is actually thinking about the scenarios that are most triggering, right? Beforehand, before even seeing them, and actually playing them out and thinking about how I could respond differently. And actually in my mind, visualizing this, visualizing the incident, feeling the emotion, and working through that. So what do you think of that as the next step?
I think that's a great next step. But if you allow me, I frame it differently so it's easier to connect to, at least in my view. I always ask, who is attending this event? By who, I mean which aspect of me? Because the aspect of me that is reactive and truly choiceless in that moment, that's why we so-called lose it. When I say I lost it, that means I felt no other way around this except to just scream or do whatever it is that I did. Okay. The question is intentionally, and I talk a lot about point of entrance. Like when let's say before this or after this session, I'm going, let's say, to lunch with my friend, or I'm going to speak at a conference. I stop and think, okay, so the situation has changed. I was chatting with Ben for podcast. Now, who is entering this new event? Oh, the friend Mitra is going there because otherwise I'll be in the podcast mode. Or from my friendship, I go to a session where I'm speaking. Who's entering that event? Oh, the public speaker Mitra is going. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But determining who, and this is a fascinating, and I've applied to eating, applied it to speaking, applied it to relationships. Who is entering? Who is entering the family gathering, the holiday season, the celebration, so called, which always never becomes a celebration? Who is entering? Because I know who is at the other end and I can't do anything about that. But which aspect of me, and there's so many aspects to me. There is the adult knowing, accepting me that if she enters, she knows what to do. She knows exactly what to do. It's just the wrong person. The little Mitra entered who felt choiceless and now as an adult angry with in the company of so-called the family members. But if the knowing Mitra, the one that has many choices, and the minimum choice is people say, I can't just get up and leave. It's not always leaving. I mean, it's amazing how many bathroom breaks I get when I'm with people that it's difficult to be with. I just go to the bathroom. That's where nobody bothers me. I sit there, wash my face, wash my hand, put myself together, remember which meter needs to go back, and go back. I can go to the balcony. I can go to the backyard. I can go for a walk. I can just go to a place that there's nobody. And as I said, if there's no other place, there's always the bathroom. So who is going is very important. You decided, and that becomes your anchor. Of course, you get provoked, and the child and reactive you will show up. But there's an anchor that when I say, and I raise my voice and I say, oh, who was here? I remember the mature Mitra with a lot of choices, who knows exactly how to handle this. She has been at it a lifetime. She knows what to do. So who is the most important part? So I'm going to stop and then I'll give more. Tell me what you think.
So who, I hear you, and I think it's just recognizing, acknowledging that the self that reacts and gets triggered in those situations is not our older, wiser self. That is some aspect of our younger self, whether that be our teenage self, our adolescent self, recognizing that it's those younger parts of us that are reacting, and choosing then to disidentify with them, acknowledge that they are there, but bring the authority back to the wiser self.
Yes, exactly.
And the wiser self recognizes that it has free will and it has many choices on how to respond in a new way.
And then we go to the how that you were talking about.
Even before that, though, I'm realizing that the mindset and the perspective is really important here. We're laying down a set of paradigms, how we can look at this to help us process or to help us work through these challenges. So the other thing that had come to my mind, and this is something that helps me, is acknowledging that everyone is a mirror for us. Everyone is a mirror. Every relationship in our life is telling us something about ourselves. And those relationships that trigger us, or that thing that person does that bothers us, is somehow, some way a mirror for us and an opportunity for us to grow. So trigger now becomes an opportunity. It's a perspective shift. What is it that this dynamic, let's just say, between me and my father, when he says this, what does this say about me? What is this showing about me?
What unresolved needs and is calling to be resolved?
Yeah. For example, if I'm feeling like my father, let's just say, and this is not my father at all, but hypothetically, is judging me, and I think he's over judgmental of me, I might reflect and be like, what is this showing about me? How am I at times over judgmental about others or about myself?
Yes.
And so this opens up the energy of curiosity. So now, from reactivity, from defensiveness, we move towards curiosity. What is this showing me? What is this wanting to teach me?
What wants to be resolved?
And what wants to be resolved within me?
This is beautiful, because this is a gift to me now. You see, before you were the one who was provoking me. Now you're the one who's facilitating a resolution in me and a revolution in me. So the question is, because you have seen in families, you have seen it in workplaces. I see it a lot when I work with workplaces, that one thing happens, inappropriately as it may be, but people really respond to it or react to it in a different way. Why? because it's either that they're disregarding it, or most importantly, is because maybe they have resolved it. So something that really stands up for me might be I may show you and say, Ben, did you see this? Did you see what they say? And you say, yeah, that was not appropriate. That's all it is for you. But because it's unresolved for me, and because, especially with family members, we have a whole history, almost a lifetime of hearing this, it is much bigger for me than it is for somebody else. So, what needs to get resolved? And that is a beautiful, simple question that whenever I get triggered by anything, by an event, by a voice, by an invitation, believe it or not, I used to get provoked when people invited me to events. I
Hmm.
mean, I know it sounds really almost crazy, but I do it. And I thought, what is it? Why? I mean, these people are kind. They've included me, they invited me. And I realized, you know what it was?
Hmm.
It was my inability to say no very clearly that made me upset when I got
Hmm.
invitation to join them in a beautiful event.
Hmm.
So they're reminding me, Mitra, you can't say no properly. You know that.
Hmm. You
You
felt
say yes.
obligated. The
Exactly.
invitation meant obligation to you.
So, do you see how funny this is? I want to feel good, but I want you to guess how many commitments I have and do not invite me when you don't know when my schedule is tight. But
Hmm.
I don't want to stand there and say, Ben, love the invitation. May I take a rain check? This week is really busy for me and I can't attend. I
Hmm.
can't say that. Oh, no, can't is the wrong word. I haven't practiced saying that. So I want to manage my life from your end. And you, poor thing, have no idea. You think you're being kind to include me, and I'm angry at you because you invited me. I
Hmm.
mean, this is insane what
Yeah.
I noticed. And I thought, like, this is insane. This lack of awareness can take us to madness. I mean,
Hmm.
if I said it out loud, if I told you I'm really furious with my friends and you would say, what have they done? I said, like, they keep inviting me to things. And
Hmm.
you think,
Hmm.
and I mean, that's what friends do. They include you. Aren't you lucky and happy? So, yeah, yeah. But they did it when I was like, I had too much commitments. Like, okay, like an adult, tell them,
Yeah.
you know?
And that was the lesson. It
Exactly.
was first of all, you were seeing it as an obligation, which is not an obligation. And yeah, you were being reminded of your free will, your free choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
it's all opportunities for growth, every trigger. And of course, our family triggers are going to be the more difficult ones. They require more work.
because they're the
But it
most
is,
practiced ones.
yeah, they're the
They're the
most,
most, imagine for a lifetime, for me over 60 years, for you, much less, half of that. I have practiced. A has happened. I have said and done B. So now the aware me needs to create a pause and say, who wants to go to this event? Who is present? And then how it's exactly what you said, that you imagine how I'm going to respond if the normal things that take place. Of course, there will be always element of surprise and newness of presentation of whatever they've done, but there are repetition or at least patterns in what happens in families. So how I prepare it very loosely, not to attach to that either, but loosely I prepare what are my choices, because in that moment I may not be ready to really respond and I may react again. So I ask myself, what are the potential choices? Oh, I can do this. I can leave. I can change the subject. I cannot answer. I cannot breathe.
not breathe.
I mean, I can not breathe shallow. I meant,
It is an
thank you.
option. It is an option.
Yeah, but not a good
You could
option.
choose not to breathe.
Not breathe
Just pass out
shallowly.
on the table.
That works.
Uh,
That works. The theater and drama always was on. Oh, old fashioned mother's like trick. Oh, my heart. You know, but no. Joking aside, I meant to breathe differently, not breathe
mhm,
shallowly, and breathe
mhm,
differently. I mean, I just put my hand, because no, this is something you can do at the table. I put my hands on my belly and then start
Mm,
counting my breath. And my
yep.
attention is now on my breathing. And their voice is in the background, and they're going, oh, and I'm like thinking, and you never do this, and you always do that. And I'm thinking, 36, 37. And then somehow my capacity changes when my attention is on my wellness, not on their sickness as I see it.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. So we go from who to how. And if you don't have any comments about this, I want to go to when.
Well, actually, I want to continue to build on mindset because I think mindset is the most crucial. If we can get the right paradigm and perspective, then the answers on what to do become so much easier.
The
So,
mindset, you mean the who? You want to go back to
no,
who?
the paradigm, the way we look at the situation. So, we've said
Expectations.
it's all a gift, right? Another, just to build on that further, and you've talked about this, Mitra, is this whole life, we imagine it's a play, it's a drama, and we've hired the actors. Everybody in our life are hired actors. We hired, before we came into this life, we hired our mom to act as our mom, our father to be our father, our brothers, our siblings to be our siblings. We hired them, and before we came down into this life, we made an agreement that, okay, mom, I want you to trigger me in all of these ways, and dad, you in these ways, so that I can learn and grow, right? And recognizing, so another paradigm, right, is that they're all here for me. They're all here to teach me something. And that's been one that's been helpful for me as well.
Okay.
And I
If you're
know,
going to contract, let me then say something about contract, because I wasn't going to go there. But now that we're going there, we can actually do some preventative work. I have some statements that have been very, very helpful for me, that when something gets repeated, and usually that's family members, but it could be a spouse, it could be a neighbor, it could be a colleague, when you see that no matter what you do, at least energetically, at worst, both energetically and physically and mentally, this person is always in your face and in your life. Okay. Then you know that there's something bigger than this. There is a contract that needs to be um, voided and canceled, at least at your end. And you know, if one person cancels it, the contract is canceled. You know, if
Mhm.
you and I are going to lunch and I say I'm not coming, there is no lunch. I mean, you can have lunch with yourself, but there won't be our lunch. So
Mhm.
I am capable of canceling it at my end only. And I actually have done that with many people because I see the pattern. And the words I use are these: we tried it, it didn't work. And you acknowledge it. Let's tear up our contract. I forgive you. I release you. I let you go. You go your way with love, and I go my way with awareness.
I think that that's beautiful. And I think we need to be very careful with that
Do tell.
because I think we need to be ready. Certain conditions need to be met
A
before we
lot,
are ready to do that.
a lot of
There's
conditions.
still, because those contracts are there for us to grow and learn, and we don't want to.
No, 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 no. Let me stop you right there, because you're
Okay.
assuming the end of contract means end of growth. The end of contract is actually beginning of a growth at the much, much higher level, because now I have you in my life as my child, as my brother, as whatever you are to me, at a different level. I no longer have the old contract. I can actually draw new contracts. It's not letting go. It's not learning. And I'm really glad you mentioned that. It means there is contracts with awareness. Now I want to play the game of connectedness. Now I want to connect with you from the energy of love and understanding and growth, not in a reactive and unknowing subconscious. There's your word, subconscious way. I consciously would like to grow with you. That's a different contract. That's a knowing contract. The other contract is in the dark. It is in our subconscious. It is usually old and antiquated. and I am not aware of
Got it.
the conditions of them.
Yeah. So you're talking about rewriting a contract.
Thank
I
you.
heard you say cancel a contract, and I think that can be
Yes, cancel
misinterpreted. We're
the old
rewriting a
contract.
new contract.
But
We're
you need to
rewriting a new
cancel the
one.
old one. You need to cancel the old one. You see, we have a contract and you're saying, Mitra, let's start from the beginning. I say, okay, so the other one is void. You say yes. So we need to cancel the existing, the one that is not with awareness, the one that is not helpful. It's actually repetition of harmful energy between us. I need to cancel that and then draw a new contract with knowingness and consciousness.
Which is basically, it's another way of saying I'm going to choose to respond in a new way.
Yes, but this is actually, you see, when you give it context, you have to understand it's not as easy as everybody knows, show up in a new way. But how? I want to know how. And this is one of the hows that I know there is something playing that obviously I don't know when, I don't know how, I was part of it. And it's not serving me and serving you. So what I want to do is to make sure I let that one go, whatever word they want to use. Maybe you're sensitive about cancel. That's fine. Whatever way, the words are irrelevant, the actions are important. You let that one go and then you start a new one, because just imagine, and that's a new consciousness level. So one was I was not aware and I didn't even know. If you ask me, why do you talk like this? I will give you all the reasons how my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my daughter, my lover is like that. Okay. I would make it all about them. Now I am in a position, second phase. I actually know there is something that is unhealthy and I'm trying to really resolve it and all the things that we talked about. The next step is not only I resolve and dissolve, but also reestablish a completely new healthy relationship, which is, as you said, is a much, much difficult thing to do.
I hear you. I hear you. What I hear what you're saying is, do you call on a higher power to support this process? Meaning
I do.
it's not only Mitra and Mitra's will. You're asking for assistance from a higher power, whatever the creator, God, source, universe, to assist with this process.
Let me confess. Anything I do that goes out of norm and reactive and autopilot way, I personally ask for invisible higher powers.
Amen. That's the key. This is
Because
the key.
without
There's
them,
a
I can't do it
we
in my experience. And it's not, I'm not
same
giving formula.
same. We got ourselves into this mess. We have no idea how to get out of it. We need to call on a higher power to assist us and guide us. And I think this is a big one. This is a big one. And it has been absolutely crucial and key to my own personal development and growth, has been calling on assistance
Mhm.
from that higher power,
Yes.
humbling myself, realizing that, look, I don't know that I can do this on my own. This is a lot. I got myself into this mess. I take responsibility for that. And I don't know that in and of myself, I can get out of this. I need help. Help me. Give me some guidance and support. And that, in my personal experience, has been the most powerful source of change in my life.
Yes. And I would like to just elaborate a little bit on that, because when I say that to people that I work with or teach, the reaction is either I don't believe in higher powers, or wouldn't the higher power just know? Aren't they all knowing? And I want to address both of those. So you don't need to believe in anything, especially no particular name, but you know that there is a higher aspect of you, because you know at times you are able to respond and act in a very uh, responsible and conscious way. So call on your own higher, whatever aspect or higher self. You don't need to have another name for it. So that's the first thing I would say about that. And as far as knowingness of the higher powers, as you call them, is concerned, yes, there is knowingness, but please understand that the whole experience that we have on earth, this is all my truth, doesn't need to be the capital T truth, is based on the fact that we all have come here to play the way we want to play the game of life. And there is a free will at work that I would like to do what I would like to do. So until and unless you ask for assistance, assistance is not allowed to come to you.
Oh,
Why?
man.
Not because they don't love you, not because they don't want you to grow, but because they don't want to compromise your free will. It is just like, just think about it at human level. Imagine there's a day that you're not feeling well. Imagine I just arrive at your door, knock at your door, and come in and I say, hey, get up, I want to help you. And you're thinking, Mitra, I'm not ready. I don't know who told you to come here. I said, no, 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 I really want to help you. No, I have lots of love for you. Come on, get up then. And you're thinking, no, I don't want help. I like to be a little bit longer in my experience, uncomfortable experience, and digest what's going on and decide when I'm ready, please leave now. When I'm ready, I call upon you. It's exactly the same way with so-called higher powers, that they will arrive when we invite them to arrive and assist us.
Absolutely. Amen. Thank you for that. And I wanna add another clarification. Never do I, nor do I think it works, ask the higher power to change somebody else.
I'm sure they will have fun
God,
with that one.
please just change the way my mom behaves. No, that's not how it
And tell
works.
my dad to not do this anymore. You know why? You know why? Because the same law of free will applies to them. So that is double compromise. You're asking the higher power interfere when it hasn't been asked. And that interference is not even about you, it's about somebody else, which makes it double compromise of free will law.
So really the prayer is, or the inquiry or request is, teach me how I can respond in a new way. Show me how I can respond in a new way that
Yes.
is more attuned to love, to peace, to harmony. Help
Yes.
me perceive this from a higher perspective. What is the higher perspective? Because I don't see it right now. Help me see the higher perspective. Once we do, it becomes easy. Once we
Yes.
do, all the problems just dissolve. Once we do, I look at my mom and I can't help but feel love for her when she does that very same thing that triggered me for
Yes.
so many years.
Yes. And your dad somehow is not judgmental anymore. Your brother somehow is not provoking anymore. Your sister is not agitating anymore, and goes on and on. But here's my prayer. And it's funny, I was speaking about this with a very beautiful person, soul, yesterday, that my prayer is that please guide me to a place that 100% serves them and serves me. And I don't need to know what that looks like. Do you see what a beautiful surrendering statement that is? Because usually we have a plan, I call it an agenda, that I want you to be like this and I want myself to be that way. But I'm really truly saying to my higher powers, and we all have aides, in my view, we all have support, that I'm saying, I want the result, you decide the process, because I don't know better. My knowing is limited to my experiences.
Amen.
I do not know what I have not experienced, but higher selves have access to things beyond my limited remembering, knowing, and memories right now.
Yeah.
So guide me to where it 100% serves them and 100% serves me, and I don't need to know how.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you. So that's one of the most, from me and Mitra, one of the most powerful tools to help you in navigating your relationship and expectations of your family members.
Yes.
And on a more, before we close up here, just some more practical things. Is there, I'll just say rehearsing can be helpful. We can go in our mind's eye before the event, before the dinner. We can just imagine the scenario, me and my father, he says that thing. and I feel the feelings, and we can practice actually not responding. We can practice breathing through it, holding space, and not reacting, I should say, not reacting. That's one of the most powerful practices, I think, is just the practice of not reacting. Not reacting in it of itself is a brand new way of responding to that situation. And you're rewiring your subconscious mind to respond in a new way. Invariably, what happens is in the beginning, it's going to feel like tension. It's going to feel hard. We're not going to know of a new way to respond other than really sometimes no response, just breathing into it. And once we practice that, then it becomes easier. Then intuitively, we begin to come up with new ways we can respond to the situation.
Absolutely. And in my dyslexic way, the way I relate to this was my who, how, and when. So who I decide who's going, it becomes my anchor, and I probably forget and I come back to it. The how is exactly what you said, the imagination of like creating a new aspect and new ways of responding. And when is also important because I know when it's time for me to take a break, because I see maybe I failed to do all of those things. My who didn't work, my how didn't work. And now I need pause in order to go back to my who and how. And that's the when that it's very, very important. That's the when I know I need a break. I've gone for walks. I have gone outside. I have gone and played with kids. I have gone and pretended I need to go to my car. I mean, I have done so many things to allow the when to help me. This is when I'm at capacity and I know the next comment and next word won't be kind. And I just allow myself that break, and then it becomes easier to go back to who and how. But the when is very important aspect of this, because sometimes, you know what, with all of these teachings that I received and given, I just don't have the capacity in that moment.
And that's being compassionate and gentle with yourself.
Yes.
And that is so important,
Yes.
is recognizing it's okay if we can't help but to be triggered, that's okay.
Yes. And I'm
And we can be
compassionate.
compassionate towards ourselves for that and take
Yes.
that bathroom break, go to the car,
Yes. Go
just take
outside,
a few
do whatever.
breaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're really allowing yourself to be human. Because I always say, if I was complete, if I knew everything I'm saying I could do perfectly, I probably would be one of those helpers, not one of the ones seeking for help. I'll be one of the, whatever you want to call them, higher selves of people. And I'm not. But I have the capacity to connect to that. So the when allows me to really remember I'm human. And sometimes I just don't have the capacity. And that's okay.
Mm.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So important to be gentle and compassionate with ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll just add that at the event, if I'm at a family event and I'm at a point where it's still manageable for me, I notice it's kind of the tension is building up in me. Two things can be really helpful. One, you mentioned it earlier, is a breathing technique.
Mhm.
So box breathing, which I think is what you were referring to, is really helpful. There's different kinds of box breathing. And the most common is you basically equal breaths,
Mhm.
equal count inhale. It could be a 4 count,
Mhm.
equal count hold,
Hold.
then release for the same count, exhale, and then hold, and then inhale. And it's amazing how effective this has been for me in just calming down the nervous system in doing that. So box breathing, and there's so many videos and information on box breathing online, so you can look that up. The other thing that I've done is gently caressing myself. Like if my hands are under the table, my forearm, or my hand, I'll just gently caress it.
Great tool.
Gently caress my hand, just be gentle with myself. And it does something to me that I don't quite understand, but it somehow calms my nervous system. It sends a signal that like it's okay,
Mhm.
I'm here for you. I love you.
Mm, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Great tools. Thank you for sharing, Ben.
Anything else before we wrap up? Did we miss any key points here?
Happy holidays. Good luck. No, I'm being horrible. I think we said enough. And I think understanding that once you change your consciousness, you experience the same events in a completely different way. And there's two ways to change the events. One is to actually change the events, which we usually can't. Two is change the consciousness level with which we enter the events. And all of our talks, whether as a tool or what to do, it's all about that. It's really going with a consciousness that allows us to benefit from all situations, even the challenging ones, and especially the family ones.
Thank you, Mitra. I'm wishing everybody a happy holiday. May you enjoy the blessings and the gifts that spending time with family has to offer, both the obvious ones and the not so obvious ones that we've discussed. Happy holidays. Okay.
If you want to learn and practice what we talked about in this episode in a group setting with myself and others, join me on Tuesday, December 31st at 5 p.m. Pacific Time as I, in collaboration with UCLA Health, am offering a free online New Year's mindful event. I've included a link to the details of the event in the episode description. See you soon.